Hello and welcome to All for United on Sunday's Last Word. We're going to be talking all about the main topic, which is Ronaldo. I'm sure we've all heard about what's happened, haven't we? I've got the tweet up here from Fabrizio Romano. He seems to be the one in the know about all the transfers. Cristiano Ronaldo told Man United he wants to leave this summer as he wants to see more ambition. Well, don't we fucking all? Man United are still hopeful of keeping Ronaldo, but aware of decision. Cristiano has no agreement with any other club, but Mendes has explored options for weeks and will continue to do so. Stu, what do you reckon? Ronaldo going, staying?
Yeah, look, a difficult one. For me, it's paper talk until it actually happens. Myself and James know what it's like in the media. Somebody will give a snippet out, and then that snippet gets blown up to a story. There's obviously some truth in it. If Romano's coming out and saying it, I don't see any major tier one journalists picking up on it as of yet, but I do believe that there is some truth in it. Should we be worried? I think the panel would probably be split on it. Most of us would want to keep Ronaldo for obvious reasons because he brings goals, but we've all, in some shape or form, discussed the fact that he has disrupted the starting 11 at some point during the season. So it's a polarising opinion, but for me, I would imagine it'll be relatively telling if he doesn't take the board the plane on the 8th of July when we fly out to Bangkok. If he does, then he's going to stay. There's a couple of things to add. Who wants to buy him? Where will he go? Who wants to pay him £500,000 a week, which I think we pay him something along those lines. But you've also got to, I suppose, you've got to ask about, he keeps going on about his own integrity. He keeps going on about his will to win, etc., etc. It seems to me like there's a sinking ship at the moment at Old Trafford, which we all know about, and he just doesn't want to know. And that's quite poor, really, from a club legend. So I think Friday will be really interesting. Kit launch is happening Friday. We board the plane to Bangkok on pre-season tour. If he's there, he stays, I would say. If he's not there, it's going to be another Di Maria kind of saga, I would imagine, until we can get the right money. But I'll just finish off on this. If I was Man United, I would tell him, sorry, you've got 12 months left on your contract. You're staying. End of discussion. Cry all you like, but that's happening. So it's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little concerned now because it's, on the 8th of July, we fly out to Bangkok for pre-season. Yes, again, we haven't got a single signing in. Another manager let down by the owners. It's just the same. Nothing's changed, as it quite clearly. All the appeasement about, Old Trafford and Carrington being renovated and new players coming in, or supposedly coming in, the fan share scheme, all that, it's all just been garbage and rubbish. And now the fact that the Glazer's number one marketing asset is now wanting to leave as well, I do wonder if this will make them actually go into the pockets, because it's just the same thing that's happened again. Man United and the fans and us are just constantly the ones that are punished for a load of leeches who couldn't give a shit about the football club, and it's a little bit heartbreaking at this stage now. We needed 5, 6, 7 players coming in this summer. We fly out to pre-season with this piss poor excuse of a squad, and I do sort of fear and worry for this season. I think at this stage it's right to be a little bit sceptical after the last decade. There's nothing wrong with that, but good God, I really thought maybe something had changed this summer, and quite frankly, it's quite obvious that absolutely nothing has changed. And it's just the same old dross, it's the same old crap, it's the same old PR nonsense that's coming out. I'm sick to death of it. Like, at what point, I genuinely believe going into this new season, there'll be a protest every single game, personally, and I think there needs to be, because it really is getting ridiculous, and it's beyond our control at this stage. I don't really, if the Glazers want to leave, they'll leave, but I don't see how they could at this, because they seem to want to bleed everything out at United and not have a care in the world. They've still not even liaised with the fans. They've still not spoke to the fans like they said they would. It's a disgrace what's happening at Man United, and I think there'd be a lot of people who should be speaking out, really, because this can't carry on much longer. Ahmed, mate, what do you think?
how do I sum this up in as short? It can't be a short answer because everyone would have thought by now him returning, we would have put ourselves in a great position to really challenge for something more than just top four. We all said towards the beginning of last season, okay, Ollie's got it right, seems starting to gel, and looked like a relatively serious threat, but early issues showed we weren't there yet. Ronaldo comes in, boosts to the club, changes everything. The Newcastle game, by far one of the greatest experiences I've had as a fan. I can't fault that. He came in, changed the atmosphere completely, and it probably goes down as one of the great, just days as a United fan. It's not going to be like a one that'll go down in the record books, but people who will say that they will watch him score 2 great goals that day and help an all-round good team performance, despite the way the nature of the goal we conceded. All of those, there was a lot of things about that game that made it feel so raw, such a unique moment. After that, you just felt that he's got to help try and kick on because we were basically relying on him. It's understandable why he's frustrated at the way the club has been the last 12 months. It's been turgid. It's been such a lack of belief in attack and giving 100% in various games, particularly big ones against your local rivals. It leaves sour tastes in people's mouths, and I can understand why he wants to go. He wants to continue achieving, the highest honours, the biggest trophies. He doesn't want to be playing football on Thursday nights, even at 37. The motivation is high. So the complexity of Ronaldo leaving would obviously be difficult for a club. Understandable. Not many can really afford him other than a select number, less than 3. And there's not really many other, opportunities for him to achieve what he's aiming to achieve. I think the only thing after winning everything he's won so far is with his nation. He's won the European Championship, next is the World Cup. So outside of, personal achievement, I think he just wants to be able to prove he can still hit at the higher levels. He can still prove his worth at big games and still make the difference. And I just think United are holding him back a little bit. And it's not helping the club either. As Callum said, there's a lot of things that this club needs to do in order to really be seeing themselves in and amongst the elite again. And clearly miles off it. So we're going to it doesn't overly bother me if Ronaldo doesn't stay. But if he does, he's just got to shut up and get on with his job. It's simple as that.
Totally agree.
I'll jump in and say, so before I say anything, if Ronaldo stays or goes, he's still going to be a club icon. He's still going to be my favourite player of all time. It goes without saying, but I think the reason he wants to leave and the reason why we didn't do so well last season sort of go hand in hand. Ronaldo's an ambitious person, but he's self-motivated. He wants, his reason for leaving sort of adding to this Champions League record. He wants a chance at a Ballon d'Or again. He wants this, he wants that. And I think when you come to a club like Manchester United in the state they're in, you come here for the challenge. You come here to get them back. And as soon as things get challenging, you then leave. He did the exact same thing with Juventus. Juventus finished 4th. Suddenly, I don't really fancy this anymore. I'm going to leave. And I think it's just sort of history repeating himself. He, no doubt about it, he's become the greatest athlete of all time because of this motivation. It's served him brilliantly well, but I think we're the victims of it. And I think the fact that he is so, I don't want to say self-centered because that's got negative connotations, but he's very, very selfish in that sense, meant that we now have to build a team around him, which went to the detriment of every other player that we have. We had end of last season, it was such a cohesive team unit. All the fans loved this team because it was a team. They played for each other. Everyone was getting the best out of each other. And now we're seeing Rashford's numbers have dropped off. Bruno's numbers have dropped off. Martial's fell off the face of the earth. I know he didn't do as well the season before either, but he's nowhere to be seen now. And yeah, I just, you look at mine and Stu's and Abdul's shows. Abdul, tactical specialist. Pick any show from the last season. There's probably a 50% chance that Abdul will tell you that Cristiano Ronaldo has categorically made this team worse. So in that sense, I'm not too disappointed. But on the other hand, we're at such a state now where the only thing keeping us going is Ronaldo, and I don't know if we're in a position to recover from him leaving in that sense. So it's a weird one. I also think the only way we do recover is you look at the history of teams he's been at. You look at Real Madrid when he was there. Benzema was sort of he was good. Don't get me wrong. He was, and now Ronaldo's left. He's coming into his own. Dybala, when Ronaldo went to Juventus beforehand, Dybala, one of the best talents in the world, very exciting, got a brilliant career ahead of him. Ronaldo's there. He plays second fiddle. He's nowhere near as good anymore. He's now leaving Juve on a free. I'm not sure what the circumstances are, whether Juve are reluctant to renew or whether he is, but he seems to have fallen off the face of the earth. And now it's happening with United's players as well. Bruno Fernandes, namely. I don't want to blame Ronaldo for Rashford. He's had injuries and whatnot, but both of those have fallen off a cliff. So it'll be interesting to see what our performances are like without Ronaldo next season, depending on the incomings and everything. But yeah, I suppose final point I wanted to make as well is Ronaldo leaving could be a good thing for Ten Hag. I think Stu touched on it briefly, but Ten Hag, if he gets rid of Ronaldo, that's the only real threat to his hierarchy, his sort of dominance in that dressing room. We saw the same with Oli. We saw the same with Ranić. Ronaldo will push to be on a par with the manager. I suppose he's earned that, don't get me wrong, but I think maybe for Ten Hag, he's an unknown prospect coming to a big club like Manchester United. He needs the respect of the players, and if that respect is being passed on to Ronaldo, I think it makes it difficult for him to become respected in that dressing room. It's hard enough for a manager to go into a Manchester United room and get respected, but I think removing Ronaldo, removing all his goals, don't get me wrong, fantastic player, I'll keep reiterating that, but removing that threat gives him the best possible base to build from. So, Ronaldo offers infinite positives, but there's also positives to be taken from him leaving.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm so undecided on it completely because on one hand I can understand why he wants to leave because of Champions League. That's basically his competition, isn't it? But on the other hand, I do see that there seems to be quite a big argument that he does make the team worse. Now, I'm not completely in that if I'm honest, because how can a guy who's come in and scored 24 goals in this side be a problem? I find it a little strange. But anyway, I see quite a few in the comments tonight, so appreciate that. Keep letting us know your thoughts. Get any questions in as well about Ronaldo if you want us to answer them. As well as a few people on Facebook. So if you head over to youtube.com/OFUnited and get involved there, that'd be very appreciated. Make sure you leave a like on the video as well. And share with your friends. Satty, mate, what do you think?
I think, touching on what everybody else has said, it could be a win-win situation for both Ronaldo and both for United going forward in terms of Erik Ten Hag's style and bringing his sort of system implemented into the team, whether it would accommodate Ronaldo, whether it wouldn't. And I feel like if he was to have gone now, it's probably the best time for him to go. But the unfortunate circumstance comes with if we don't replace, because I think it was James that just touched on it. Rashford wasn't firing, Martial hasn't been firing. So that's the biggest worry, is that we lose a huge chunk of goals that won us games last year. I think we didn't. I don't think we won a game without Ronaldo last year, without any of these goals and these performances. So I think that's what the biggest worry is. I just think the timing of it is a bit weird. Didn't really didn't anticipate it to come sort of this sort of time before the pre-season. But I'm not surprised about it. I remember in the last few games towards the end of Rangnick's reign at United, there was sort of leaks coming out saying Cristiano Ronaldo is looking to explore different possibilities next season. So not surprised that he's thinking about moving on. And he's an athlete that's built himself to the best of his ability and playing at the best limits of the game. And I think he recognises that in his last season at Juventus, they went up for it. He recognises it at United last season that they're not up for it. And I think he knows that the actual demands and the actual next step to get to that better position is not there at the moment. Whether he feels that he hasn't got the time left in him to be able to stay and be part of a rebuild and be the sort of like the front runner of it, that he needs to go to something that is a bit established at the moment to accommodate himself, which isn't bad. It just means that we shouldn't be carrying players who have carried us, if you like, in the way that he's helped us last season. He built us. He like I said, he got us majority of the points. He scored become our top goal scorer, was third in the league. I mean, at his age as well, that was incredible. He did hinder us a few times in some performances, but I can't put the blame on him because the options that we had off the bench or who were available wasn't up to scratch. So it was almost we relied on him too much. So I think if he does go, it could be a blessing to both parties, both Ronaldo, that he moves on, and we actually get somebody in that's going to fit Ten Hag's sort of style and implement it for the future. And if he does stay, then we've also got the bonus of having the best goal scorer of all time. So I think it could work out to be good either way. But I just think the timing was a bit weird, but I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a little bit of a theory though, because I think the fact that we haven't signed anyone at the minute is genuinely a disgrace. And obviously in 2009 we replaced Ronaldo with fucking Michael Owen and Gabriel Obertan, which I thought were great signings, of course. Do you think him coming out and saying this and basically going, look, I want to leave, do you think it could actually make the Glazers maybe put their hand, not their pockets, because they'll never put hand in their pockets, but do you think it might force through and rush some signings in? Because United are desperate for players at this stage, and if it gets much worse or much longer, I think other clubs will then feed off that desperation from United and start putting the price tags of the players up, because absolute lack of planning again seems to be the case, and it's hindering us again. If I keep stumbling on my words, it's because I'm a little hungover, so bear with me. It does seem a bit. Will the desperation come back to hinder us? Because it's really worrying me now. I really thought this summer would be different, and it clearly isn't. Do you think this could genuinely lead to signings now being rushed through? Maybe adding that little bit more money onto the De Jong deal if it happens. Because we needed a striker really anyway, but now if we lose Ronaldo, we're going to need two strikers. But we needed 5 or 6 players in the door anyway, 2 or 3 of which should have already been signed. So does this not just heap more pressure on?
The problem
Stu, what do you
is,
think?
Callum.
Go on, Ahmed. I was going to say, I think it does, yeah, but go on, pal.
Yeah, like I'm looking at pertinent players who can fill that role that Ronaldo leaves behind and who could back him up. There's not many out there, in all honesty. And Callum brought up the point of clubs, they see Man United's name next to the fee that's being proposed, and then suddenly, oh no, can't have that. Let's just because it's them, tax them a bit more because United have a lot more money, and we should leech off them the most that we can. Genuinely, it's not so much for me concerned about the money, it's the player. The player I think needs to be certain that he wants to come to United. He has to show that he deserves the chance as well, because you can't just go and get an also-ran from, I don't know, from Italy or Spain that's scored 20 goals but doesn't look like he's got doesn't look like he's got reputation, and then let's say, for example, is a risk, doesn't pull it off, and suddenly it goes to pot. And you lose out on God knows how much million. And you also need a significant backup. I don't want to use other clubs too much, but I always think back to the 2018-19 season for Tottenham, and the fact they had Son, Kane, Lucas Moura, and Eriksen as a front four, flurrying front four. And they could interchange, they could use them a lot. But in terms of the natural number 9, you could swap Kane and Llorente and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Sometimes Vincent Janssen would play, but it's always about trying to keep the main players fresh. A lot of the time, you don't need to over-rely on your main striker if he's feeling not 100% game after game. So a player needs a motivation, and we also need a significant backup. United have not had a proper backup striker for donkey's years. I think since Van Persie, Falcao, I think were the last 2 decent strikers we had that could complement each other. Since then, I don't think we've had an out-and-out number 9 and someone to properly back him up. So if we are going to let Ronaldo go, and obviously one of the main options we were going for has already gone to the other side, there's very little I can think like anyone can think of top level that can fill in that role. It's extremely difficult to poach that kind of player into United, particularly with the lack of draw we have as well.
It's an interesting subject. I mean, we do need an out-and-out number 9. most of you guys on the panel know that I love a number 9. I love an 18-yard box player who lives in there, can live in the 6-yard box as well, stick his head where it hurts, and get us the goals we need. Ronaldo kind of does that for us, but when you scour Europe, the striker pool at the moment is so limited. Most of them
It's really low, isn't it?
Yeah, most of the top strikers are on long-term contracts. You might argue that Belotti, I think he's on a free, isn't he, from Torino? But I think he's going to Monaco anyway. Would be an interesting option. Some are talking about Scamacca as well. He's young. I didn't think he looked great against us, in the Nations League. But these are 2 options for us. But you're then clutching at straws, aren't you? And it goes back to same old Man United. We're just clutching at straws with players. There's no forward thinking, and there's no forward planning. We're seeing at the moment with all these players we're linked with, we can't seem to get one over the line. We can't even sell Andres Pereira, who's desperate to stay at Flamengo. We can't even sell him. We can't do anything right within the transfer market, whether there's an outgoing or incoming. It's dangerous playing a false 9, whether or not you utilise Bruno up there. And as Man United Analytics has quite rightly pointed out, you cannot rely on Martial and you cannot rely on Rashford to fill the void that Ronaldo is going to do, because they're just not consistent enough. You will see a certain upturn in some players, but not the upturn that's absolutely required to take us anywhere. So we've got to look at it from United's point of view, from fans' point of view, which area we're shopping at. We're not shopping at Harrods anymore, Selfridges, Harvey Nichols. We're shopping at Morrison's and areas of that nature at the minute, and that's bad news for our club. And so we've got to, Ten Hag must be wondering, and I do feel for the guy. And I'm going to plug a show at the minute. I've just done a show with an Ajax fan, which drops on Tuesday, and he's talking a lot about the style of play that he wants to. And their focal point was never a 9. It was always, and I don't want to spoil the show, but it was always from deep, from a playmaking point of view. So I'm hoping that whatever people think about Ronaldo, whether they like him or whether they don't, I just feel that he's got to stay. I think the club have got to tell him tough. You can chuck your toys out the pram or whatever, but you're under contract for 12 months. You're going to stay. And then you can go to Sporting Lisbon or whatever. Because where's he going to go? I don't think PSG will take him. Their stance now is to buy and play Parisian-born players over the next few years. He won't go back to Real Madrid, I wouldn't imagine. Juventus won't have him back. Where do you go? If you're Cristiano Ronaldo, where do you go? Apparently Bayern Munich weren't interested. So where do you go? I have seen some kind of report saying, well, why don't we swap him for Lewandowski? But from what I hear, Lewandowski's got
I've heard a couple of rumours about that as well. But I'm just going to stop you there, Stu, because we've got a lovely guest that's decided to join us today.
Oh, yes, we have. Oh, I can see him.
Boy.
Here comes Joe.
Hey, guys. Hello. Mwah. Mwah. I noticed everyone was being super manic depressive on the show this evening, and I couldn't stand by it. Carl, you look absolutely beautiful. James, you look more like whoever I said you look like before than ever. Stu, you look like you're a divorced dad. And the other 2 guys I've yet to meet before, you look absolutely magnificent. It is great to be here, and I'm going to add to this chat. Stu, look, all I can do is be accurate, okay?
What do I do with the divorced dad?
I'm just saying, you've got like pictures of children. I hope they're yours behind you.
Yeah, they are mine.
You've got it. Okay, I'm just saying, I hope that you got a miscellaneous medal, which you're just slightly over your shoulder, which I'm sure you got when you beat up Muhammad Ali or whatever you tell the other 45-year-old women you meet at a bar.
That was my very first 10K I run 6 weeks ago, because I'm not a runner. And that was my very first 10K. So I've just moved in. I've just moved into my new office environment and a home.
Yeah, you weren't forced in there.
And I'm getting absolutely ribbed about it in the chat.
Yeah, I just think you deserve to be ribbed every so often, and and especially when I'm in close proximity to you.
Yes.
But for me, on this whole Ronaldo thing, okay, guys, if you want to go way back on it, all right, I don't think we ever should have bought him in the first place, but that's a different argument for a different day, okay? I think the argument of him leaving is just not going to happen, because you guys were touching on it just here. Like, who's going to buy him? All right, the only club that even seemingly has a slight interest in him is Chelsea, and they just want it because they have American owners, and American owners like shiny things. That's it. All right, they're just sparrows. They have no actual interest, and the thing is, the likelihood of them going, it makes most sense to Chelsea because you look at Lukaku. What's name? Tuchel didn't want Lukaku last season. He wanted Haaland or Lewandowski. Didn't get either of them, so they went, hey, let's get Lukaku instead. And look how well that worked out. I know it's new ownership, but you look at it now, they're just going to go for the same thing. Ronaldo is not going to go to Chelsea. If you had a choice between anyone out of the top 6, which would be Man City, Liverpool, he won't go to them for obvious reasons. 1, they don't want him. And 2, because it would destroy how the world sees him as, being this upstanding, whatever player, whatever way you want to put on him, it would just ruin his profile for him to go to one of those clubs right now anyway. So, and obviously United wouldn't sell him to him. But you look across the board, you were saying Bayern Munich, Juventus there, not going to happen because they don't want him. Bayern Munich don't need him. Bayern Munich just bought Saudi Mane. They have a structure, a team cohesion in place, which you look at Juventus, you look at his end time at Real Madrid, you look at Man United. Ronaldo ruins very progressive clubs by being, in his head, the greatest player in the world, but in his legs and in his body, someone who kind of adds goals but takes away from the team. So he's not going to go to any of those clubs because they're well. Okay, will be a great player at the World Cup of Portugal, I guarantee you, but there was nowhere he's going to go. The only thing I can see at this being is that he desperately wants one trophy. He desperately wants one trophy at Man United. The same way we want the one for Oli, he wants one at United. He's just putting this out as the last stand because he's got 1 year left on his contract. We're not going to renew him for a new one, and he just wants to get players in, which will get him top 4, get us top 4, get him a trophy so we can leave saying, in some regards, that his second stint, his legacy is continued and he brought success to the club. Is that going to happen? Probably, definitely not. But that is his best plea at the moment. He's not going to go anywhere because no one can afford him or no one wants him. And we don't need him and we can't get rid of him because we paid stupid money to sign him because it sold a few more jerseys. So I think the negativity we're looking at it, we have to look at it from Ronaldo's perspective because he's very intelligent. And there's also talk coming out of Mendes is putting this out there because he wants United to buy Ruben Neves. They want more Mendes players at Old Trafford. So there's all that stuff at play too. And Ronaldo is Man United's biggest commercial asset. So they're going to put that on the line to get these players across the line. So I don't think anything's going to happen. I would like if Ronaldo left, but it only would have been if we bought a striker. But it's not going to happen. He's going nowhere. And we're just going to get more Portuguese players across the line. I think that's what's going to happen. Anyway.
I think you're right, to be fair. Do you know what? Can I just say to everyone as well, it isn't the year 2020. We haven't decided to go back in time. Joe actually has joined us. James is on there as well on Stu. If we just get Karthik on it, we'll literally be like it's 2020 again. The thing is with Ronaldo, right? I think when we signed him, we were all very nostalgic and very happy. But it does seem to be a little bit of a consensus, doesn't it? That the guy's added a lot, but he's also took away a lot from the team as a whole. I don't necessarily buy that completely. I think I can't personally bring myself to go, he was the issue when he has scored 24 goals in this side this season. I find it quite hard to say that. I understand why some people do, if they give it any evidence or give some reasoning behind it, but it's not an idea I completely stick by.
On that as well, I think the fact that there's an argument shows that there is a problem. There is a fundamental problem there. That if it was just, it's not like when Zlatan came. A similar, a bit younger, but a similar type of player. Obviously, we'll say past his best, but he comes in and pretty much everyone will say universally that was obviously only his first stint. We don't talk about the 3 months that he came back for, but we're that is someone who came in with the right mindset, with the right, and still had the right skill set that he actually added to pretty much every aspect of the team. Well, no matter what, with Ronaldo, you would say obviously scored goals massively. We can't take that away from him, but he doesn't do anything else. So, the thing is, the most important thing when you're playing football is to score goals. But, now more than ever, you look at, other aspects of the team, other aspects of the game, and, there is no just target man. There isn't the days of Ruud van Nistelrooy, who never scored a goal, scored, 160-odd goals for United. Every single one of them is in the box. Those players are gone. So, it's a different age, and I think that's where the argument comes in that Ronaldo is an issue. But I agree with you, Cal, that it's hard to say that when he scored 24 goals.
Yeah, do you know what, though? Another problem we've got with Ronaldo as well is, unfortunately, United are in such a transitional period. We're in a rebuild, what feels like our 27th rebuild of the last 10 years. But we are in a rebuild, and a 37-year-old striker, albeit a very big legend of United, isn't any 38-year-old isn't part of a rebuild, because he's coming to the end of his career. He's going to want to win as much as he can. He's been there and done it and won the lot. So it's a bit like, is it worth just letting him go and look into the future already and starting that rebuild, or is these extra 12 months of Ronaldo going to hinder that? It doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world if he was to leave. It would be terrible though if we didn't sign anybody. But Stu's got it spot on. There really isn't a lot of strikers at the minute that we could even turn to. I don't actually personally see a striker out there who could probably come in and get 25 goals for us, and that's a worry. I think United and the Glazers would love Harry Kane. I think that's like their dream signing. I don't think that'd be good, because at the minute it doesn't seem like we've got anything to sort of feed that striker. So it's just a nightmare at the minute, and the fact that we haven't signed anybody is genuinely an absolute disgrace.
Can I just...
James comes in. Sorry, James, just before you come in there, I just want to say, and it's only up for consideration, this, as much as Ten Hag's been quite vocal about wanting Ronaldo because he brings goals, are we all 100% sure he does see Ronaldo as his pivotal point? Sorry, James, it was just a question, just to throw out there, mate.
Well, my point I was going to make is that, the argument is at the minute, Ronaldo, where would we be without Ronaldo's goals? He's the top goal scorer in the team and everything. But you look at United's goals as a total. I think we're something like this season we scored over 30 less goals than we did the season before, and our top scorer, the man we relied so heavily on, was a bloke who scored 2 open play goals in 2 months in a very crucial period of the season. So the big argument that, he scored goals for us, he got us out of sticky situations. We weren't even in these situations the season before, and it's not like we could rely on him at all points. He wasn't consistently getting goals. He'd get a hat-trick versus Spurs and then not score again for another 5 games. He'd score in every Champions League game, not score in the Premier League game 4 or 5 days later. I'm thinking, was he this all-important goal scorer that we see him as, or are we just so poor as a team since he's come in that when he does get a few goals, because no one else is, do we just really sort of overhype it? I think we're really overstating the impact he's actually had and the saviour that he's actually been in that sense.
Yeah, I get that, actually. You know what? I never thought of it like that, because in all seriousness, I think he scored back-to-back hat-tricks.
Yeah,
didn't he?
6 goals in 2 games.
Six goals in 2 games, but there was a period where he didn't score for 9 or 10 games. So you could look at it that way. I mean, I love Ronaldo, and I think the fact that he has returned was something that I was so happy about. It meant that I've got to watch Ronaldo score a hat-trick at Old Trafford like that, something that I never thought I'd get to see again. So I think the nostalgic reasons for me just make me love him that bit more. And I don't see him as a problem. The thing is, he has only got 12 months left, and and I don't think we'll extend it. I genuinely think it will be 12 months. Goodbye. And I think the thing hopefully he'll want. I'd like to think of him in this way, but hopefully what he'll do is he'll go, I don't want to come back to United and have that as my last season at United. I feel like it'd sort of harm his legacy in some kind of strange way. I think if he was to come back to United, get United back further up the league and challenge for a trophy, and then left, I think it'd be, do you remember that last season Ronaldo had where he won us a trophy and then rode off into the sunset kind of thing? Because I think there are teams out there that would probably take I reckon it does take it'd take a bit of a decent bid to get us in, get him. But at this point, I don't know who'd get him. And I think it's a little bit of a dream for football fans to see Messi and Ronaldo on the same pitch together.
But no, it's not. No, Messi won't allow that, or Mbappe, or I know they're letting Neymar go, but they're not going to bring him in.
Mbappe wouldn't allow him in, would he?
Oh, yeah.
Manages the team, so he'd be on the bench every week.
Chance.
Come on, good luck getting a penalty.
Free kicks are worse. There must be meeting for that somewhere or another.
But I think, Cal, what you're saying there, like as Ronaldo being the problem, I wouldn't say Ronaldo is the problem at all or in any capacity. He's just not the solution, and I don't think it's fair. Like, I think the reason it's come down to this is how poorly, and this is no shock to anyone, how poorly we've been run as a club since 2005. But it just come to light since Sir Alex left. But like, it's gotten to a stage where we're relying entirely on our front line being a 37-year-old and the backup was a 30, whatever age Cavani is, 35, 34, whatever age he is. Like, that's wrong. Like, that can't be the way a top club is run. Not in the Premier League anyway. So Ronaldo should have been brought in to be a backup, to play in the big games, we'll say, whatever, do what you can to get him around that. But like, as an impact, it was like 70 minutes gone in the game and to come in and get a goal or two or whatever way like that, he probably would have still got the same return. If he went to City, he probably would have scored more goals and played less minutes. But he definitely would have played less minutes because Pep wouldn't have, that's the way Pep runs as a manager. But like, it's the way we're run that we're relying on Ronaldo. It's nothing to Ronaldo. Ronaldo tries his best in every single game to give us 100%, but his 100% isn't tracking back. His 100% is give me the ball and I'll score a goal. And that does not function in today's world unless you are one of the top 3-4 sides in the world. So the issue isn't Ronaldo, but we just can't rely on him being the solution. And that's what we have been. And that's the way we're going into this season, looking at that. And I'd love to know what his actual mindset in that is, because I feel when you get to that elite level that he would still think, I can do 90 minutes, I can still do my thing, I can still look what I did last season. But he's just like, I need better service around me. Maybe that's what he's looking at as well. I can't imagine he's really hit him that he's 37 yet. But like, whatever he does now, if it makes players go across the line and we get 3 or 4 more players before the start of the season, then I'm all for it. But I don't know who it's going to be. And it is very worried in that regard. But I feel if it's ever going to happen, it will happen now.
That's such a good way of putting it. He's not the problem, but he's not the solution either. The thing is, though, Joe, it is definitely no hiding from the fact that Man United are such a poor run club. And the thing is, as well, at the minute is Ed Woodward has done so much damage to this football club. It's astronomical what he's done to Man United, and what he's done to this football club should never be forgiven. He's up there with probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to this football club since it started. Yeah. The fact that he helped the Glazers buy the club, because he worked for, was it JP Morgan, I believe? It started all the way back in 2005 when he helped that. And then when he comes out in interviews saying, we can do things in the transfer market that no one else can, well, no wonder we end up having a Man United price, because he's shouted to the whole world, we've got loads of money when we haven't. But yeah, really appreciate the numbers, guys. Today, nearly 100 people watching, so that's very good. If you could like the video, that'd be nice, because it's always appreciated your support. Yeah, I've seen a rumor that Napoli want him now.
Why would he go there?
They said they couldn't afford him.
Yeah,
I've seen the same. I've seen the same rumor, because Napoli have got Champions League football, haven't they?
But they're not going to win it.
They do.
They're not going to win it, but I think they've got it, haven't they?
But like,
if you believe
no,
I think it's a bad move. It's a bad move.
But no, because if he's going to Napoli, it is to beat Maradona. It is to win them their first Scudetto since 1989. That's the only reason he's going. He's given up on the Champions League, but he would become like.
I don't think he'd have that impact though, Joe. I genuinely don't.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But like in his mind, like if you're looking at it, like why would he go to Napoli? It is to become a god and win them a Scudetto. But I don't think that's going to happen because they just can't pay his wages. They'd have to sell.
De Laurentiis would have to give up an arm, a leg, probably his liver as well, to bring such a player in. I don't think you're right, Joe. Napoli can only realistically afford, mid-card level talents or
and
potential
make them better.
And make them better. Great examples. I mentioned Osimhen. They've got a couple of others. Rahmani's coming through. Mere, the goalkeeper. So they've got a few decent players there, and there's the veterans alongside them. Insigne's gone. Mertens is still there. Fabio Ruiz. They've got talent, but Napoli can never be seen. Ronaldo 37.
Serie A can't afford Ronaldo. Like we saw that Juventus.
The logical place is Bayern, isn't it? Really?
No, but it's not going to happen. They bought Mane. Why would they? Why
bought Mane? That's too much. Unless Barcelona buy Lewandowski off them, and they need a desperate, last minute option. I hate to say it.
Bayern don't do that though. Bayern
They don't do that.
though.
No, they think
Yeah.
of calculated options. They look
Yeah.
at this player over a number of months and think he's what we want. We need to bring him in. Also, John Commode made a great point in the comments earlier. I need to bring this up about his time at Juventus, and it's the fact that when he was there, I think there was a lot of the emphasis or the focus was on him and not so much on the team, and the team had to sort of play for him to his strengths. So we're taking away a lot of that ability from some good players, but Dybala, Pjanic at the time, maybe even Bernardeschi comes in and he played a couple of good games. Since he's gone, they brought in Vlahovic. They look like a team again. And they had to scramble their season, which was awful at the beginning, to just scrape into the Champions League. So clearly there was a problem with him there.
But I think the problem is he is like, no matter where he goes, no matter what club he goes to, basically he will be the most powerful player, most powerful person at that club, except probably PSG because it's, Mbappe FC. But like, because he is Ronaldo, so he has another year. Like, I do think he can do something in Europe, but let's be honest, if we just if we take everything, just put all the clubs out there, top clubs, who would he actually like be a functioning member of the squad? If you just take rivalry and everything away, it would just be, for me, it would just be Man City. I don't even think he would do anything because they're such a pressing team, they couldn't do anything. I think they would need someone to finish games as a reserve player. They don't even need Ronaldo because they have Alvarez. Like Man City, maybe, but like, who else? Like, who else could he go to and just be that player that they have some space for him to do something and he can impress? There was literally no one because no one needs him. We don't need him. He's too... there's a lot of stuff going on there, and a lot of ego going on there, and I just don't think he is.
Joe, somebody's made a good point in the comments about Tammy Abraham. Now, whatever you think about Tammy, I think he's done all right.
Yeah, done great, yeah.
And someone was, is there a school of thought that maybe Ronaldo goes to Roma and we get Abraham? I don't know.
He won't go back to Jose. They did not get on.
There's a fractious relationship between Ronaldo and Jose. It goes,
but again,
way back.
He's not.
I was just throwing it out there.
There's no question. But like Ronaldo will, if he's doing like, he will not leave United to move down. Unless he's going back to Sporting Lisbon. But like, he will, if he wants to win stuff, he won't go to Roma. He won't go to Napoli. He wants to go to Juventus. He wants to go to Bayern Munich. He'll want to go to PSG. He'll want to go to Real Madrid, not Barcelona for obvious reasons. He will only move to move up to do a Champions League club that can win it. That's not going to happen because they don't want him. The only club run badly enough to sign him that were in Champions League was us. No one else is going to take a punt because they can't afford him. If it was a free transfer, someone maybe.
I agree. But would we take Abraham? Would we give him a shot?
Absolutely.
Yes,
I
think
would.
at United,
I
think United would benefit from having another English player first of all, because that helps the quota. Obviously, having as many English players in the league as possible is great. But also, it's the fact that...
but when they come to United, mate, they don't make the England squad.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised. Charges extra 40 million. English tax, don't forget.
Callum, that was so mank. It was beautiful. It was like poetry. Oh, my God. It was shite. Oh, it was magnificent.
we would be paying quite the premium to take him from Rome. And he's been there for a year, so I think they'd be well within their rights to say, okay, we've had him for 1 year. He's played so well for us. He was top 3 goal scorers in Serie A last season, played a pivotal role in getting into the Conference League, and ultimately, whether people like it or not, has played his way into the England team over a number of established names. So he's earned his right to be able to be considered in this sort of debate. It's just the fact he's been there for a year. He loves it there. I think Jose will prove to have some advice about Man United for him. Maybe that will put him off. I'm not saying that it's impossible he would not come to United. But what I fear is the fact that he's, that Mourinho's there, and much as we've said with Ronaldo, shunning the idea of him going to Rome, the reverse is applied to Abraham as well. So, no, I don't think it's an easy task. But who is it that says something about strikers? I have to scroll through the comments to find it. Someone brought up other alternative strikers that United could come in with.
It was Jarvis, mate.
Yeah,
I've just actually tried to find the comment.
I found it now.
Yeah.
Here's who's brought up. So the various options, some are obviously sign long contracts or are either attainable or not. I'll have moved to clubs already. So Gianluca Scamacca, we talked about him already. Patrick Schick had a terrific Euros. He's ace in the Bundesliga, great target man. Another Bundesliga target, and Kunku signed a new contract. Or Seaman, you will probably need to go with some guns or whatever to Napoli if you're going to get him out of there. There's no way you're getting a deal for him with less than 80 million, in my opinion. There's about 30 million Dembélés. I think they're talking. I think Jarvis is talking about the Leon Dembele. Awani's just signed for Nottingham Forest. Lautaro Martinez, again, an arm and a leg. Jonathan David, he's probably the most affordable player there. Martin Terrier from Rennes, scored about, I think, 15 plus goals in all competitions last season. And Sasa Kalajdzic from Stuttgart. So that's just to name a few, as he says. So there's a lot more out there, but there has to be one that stands out, because you need not a marquee name. We're not going to fall into that Woodward nonsense all over again. But you need a name that is going to be able to not only sustain a level, but can move up that level to be a top echelon striker. It's very hard to find that kind of striker at a cheap price or at a relatively, let's say, affordable amount. And with United, penny pinching everything they can nowadays, it's hard. So Ronaldo leaving has its advantages and its disadvantages. Replacing him is probably the hardest job in the world. It's like getting stuck in a maze and can't find your way out.
I mean, it's just shit being a United fan at the minute, isn't it? Proper shit.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I feel. Do you know what? I mean, I know it's obviously all sort of over the top in terms of journalists and stuff, because United gets some clicks and stuff, but it just seems to be negative after negative with Man United at the moment. I'm not hearing any good stories, and considering there was such a structure change, I don't feel like anything's really changed. From the outside looking in, it doesn't feel like there's that much going on. It just seems
not
like
much to
there's
look
a load
forward
of...
to either, is there? Other than like watching them play pre-season,
The thing
which
is,
is
lads,
probably going to be just as depressing.
the thing is, lads, every day when you wake up, you hear so and so is close. This, he's close. He's close. It doesn't sell papers anymore. It doesn't get clicks anymore. They're not interested in that. So as a journalist, you've got to find something. It's like I said right at the beginning of the show. You've got to find a snippet from somewhere. You've heard something from somewhere, and you expand on it. And that's how articles are written. And this Ronaldo thing blew up because there's nothing else about United that you can corroborate. Nothing whatsoever. No.
A crucial week ahead of us. That's all we keep hearing.
That's all you
John
hear,
says,
isn't it?
Decisive week.
John says first signing hopefully tomorrow.
think-
Malacia.
I think what's frustrating, most frustrating about is this is going to be the proper pre-season that we've had for the last 3 years, and I think that's what's annoying, is that we're actually going to have a good run of games where it gives time for the team to actually implement some of the style, get together and gel. And I think not getting any of the signings, or not getting the right amount of signings before the 8th when we fly out, that's going to be the big challenging thing, where I know that we've just gone a step backwards again and we've just stayed at the same level. So
Who's this cunt in the comments?
Oh,
It's off, will you? Yeah, carry on, mate. Sorry.
So I think that's what the most frustrating thing about it. This is going to be an actual full pre-season that we haven't had for like the last 3 years, and I think this is it. This is the most crucial one and important, because A, we got a new manager, B, he's got new ethics and a new style of play. That's going to take time to adjust with the new players. The demands are going to be greater. I mean, this season when Ten Hag was announced, I did think that we will get a lot of injuries during the season because of the demands and because of the physicality that he asked for his players and the intensity that he plays at. So I think it's important that this pre-season they actually get the know-how of what he demands and what his style is all about. And I think the failure to not get the right players in at the right time is going to eventually cost us again.
Do you know what though? What's mad is it's the hope that kills you. At the end of the season, when Ten Hag was coming, we all thought, do you know what? Something finally will change this summer. And every summer over the last 10 years, we've always gone, this summer will be different. Next season will be better. And for the first time in however long, this summer, I've just gone, do you know what? I'm not hopeful at all. I don't see a way out where United do great this season. It's July. I already can't be arsed with the season, and it's July. I genuinely struggle to be excited, and that's not okay as a United fan.
Yeah.
We should always be excited and always be excited to go to the pub or go to Old Trafford and watch United play. And I'm finding it really hard to look forward to this season. I feel like it's just going to be the same old crap. The players will probably not enjoy what Ten Hag wants to do, just down tools for him like they did this season. You know, the Glazers will still take the dividends and destroy the stadium and the football club and the training ground. It's just, I know it's quite hard to not be negative, but that's what the club are doing to us at the minute, and it's so crap. But I feel like that's all we seem to speak about at the minute. I don't really like being so negative about United, believe it or not, but it's kind of hard to not be, because they're not giving us anything to be positive about.
Yeah, and find out where you can get negative stuff every day at All for United.
What he said.
Yeah, it's look, it is misery. It really is. I do try to find the positive and stuff, and I feel like with Ronaldo doing this, I do think this is a positive step coming from a negative action, because it's hard to look at it and go, someone wanting to leave the club might be beneficial in getting more players into the club. But I feel that is what's happening. He is our most powerful asset. I hate to look at players like that. If he's heading somewhere, it will make those bald pricks in Florida maybe turn over and be like, oh, maybe we should invest more than 100 million in today's market. If we get Frankie de Jong, Anthony, Martinez, or one or two other players, and maybe we get a Ruben Neves as well, if that's what the real plan is, to get more Mendes players in, like, that is a good window. June is over. We still have not bought a player in June in 10 years, whatever it's been. But there is another month. We want the players in early so they can get in the preseason, but we still have time on our hands. And I feel that he's doing this at the right time to make things happen. I think De Jong is going to sign on the 8th. I think Anthony will follow a week or two afterwards, and I feel like there will be one or two more players in before the end of the window. Maybe I'm just being hopeful. There's a Brian Clough in there somewhere. I do believe in fairies. Do you know, Stu? You were about 50 years older than Brian Clough.
I was about 60 then, actually.
Yeah, your glory years. Do you remember that quote? Do you remember the one I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But to be fair, there was so many Brian Clough quotes that you could coin, couldn't there? Let's be honest. Yeah. He was absolutely. What I would say, Joe, is sorry to put in, mate. And I've mentioned this before. It's not just about getting players over the line for the fans. It's about these players. They need time to adjust. Now, we're bringing in 4 players from a different league. Unless you bring in a Neves from the Premier League, they're all coming from different leagues. And if you look at the past signings that we've had, they've never adjusted quickly enough. They've always taken 6 to 8 and sometimes 12 months to adjust to the Premier League. So you're always on the back foot. You need, and I said this about Frankie de Jong. If I was Frankie de Jong, I would want to know, and I'm returning to pre-season Wednesday, right? I would want to know which door I'm going through. Am I going through Old Trafford or am I going through Barcelona? Because whichever door I go through, I'm shutting it and I'm staying. Because you don't want 2 weeks of training at Barcelona and then you've got to go to another club. You're starting all over again all the time. And it's just,
do you know what though, Stu? I think it seems it's quite obvious that he doesn't want to come to United.
Well, he doesn't.
I think he wants to stay at Barcelona.
I said this on a show and I got kind of told I didn't know what I was talking about, but I just don't. I don't think he's got his heart. I don't think he's invested in Manchester United. I'm sorry, but I don't think he is.
Do you know what though, mate? I'd question if he wanted to come a little bit.
Yeah,
because what sane person wants to be associated with this mess at the minute? If a player wanted to come to United, you'd question why. I think at the minute the club is genuinely in a mess, and we're playing Europa League football. We didn't do well in the league. There's loads of animosity within the fan base. A lot of parts of the fan base are toxic. You're coming into a situation where it's going to be really tough, I think.
It's volatile.
It's volatile. It really is.
Yeah. You're so right. And I completely agree. I don't know why Frankie de Jong would want to sign for us. And the thing is, it's not about the money. Barcelona need to sell. In that aspect, it's about the money. So if he was like, yeah, fine, I'll go to United, then we're going to get nothing. If he's getting convinced and especially modern football, I'm like, that's fine, because that means if he signs, he has been convinced. Ten Hag has convinced him that he can lead us. He can be one of the leaders to take us back to where we need to be. And it will take time, but he'll want to be here. But it's not like when we're buying other players, where it's just like, okay, Di Maria will come here for a year until he can go to PSG. All these other things where you just buy big names. We're buying a big name, but it's a big name of quality who will improve us if he decides that he wants to come. We're not the attraction we used to be. The thing is, Barcelona, like everything they're going through, they're still Barcelona. They're still in La Liga. They will be in Champions League football next season. You know, they will get back to, maybe not to the absolute heights they were at before, not in his time there anyway, but they will be playing consistently Champions League football. They were consistently going for trophies. You'd be absolutely mad to actively want to leave them to come to Man United this time. So he does need to be convinced, and I don't give a shit about him needing to be convinced. My thing is, if he comes, he has been convinced, and that is fantastic.
Yeah, it can't go on this long without any. It can't go on this long personally if there's not any convincing going on, or charming, or what other words they like to use, seducing.
Yeah. Another thing I think worth considering is Barcelona. They are crazy and quite insane. But the fact that Laporta came out and said that, you know, we have sort of started to, like, in short, because I don't want to give too much of it. I don't want to say too much into it, but he started to give hints that he doesn't exactly want to let him go. He's doing his best to say, I want him to stay. We need the money, yes, and we'll cripple ourselves for it, but we can still sell him, get the money in, and use that to buy another marquee name, which clearly hasn't worked so far. So
I think that's a ploy.
It's a ploy. If De Jong is taking his
I
time,
think he's chirping.
Just to make himself look good.
Actually, to be fair, Ahmed, I tend to agree with you. If he was saying it for a specific reason, I do agree with you. I think you're on the right path. But Sats is absolutely right on this one. He's just giving it the big one.
He doesn't want to let the bad guy.
He really is. He's giving it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to look like to his shareholders or the associates, obviously. Well, we're selling him because we need the money. He's like, no. We tried to keep him, but realistically, we are crippling ourselves.
So he wants more money. So
and he's not willing to take a wage cut at Barcelona. So clearly, that's sort of unsettled.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
Do you know what though? Speaking of De Jong, sorry mate, just speaking of De Jong though, would one of the things to convince him to come not be you'll play with Cristiano Ronaldo? So does Ronaldo even leaving? Does it put a spanner in the works in that sense as well?
No,
because
did he move to Barcelona to play with Messi? Yes.
I don't think Ronaldo's got that pull anymore, Cal. I get your points. Yeah. I don't think that pull's there anymore, pal.
Just look like
sorry, James, go on.
I was going to say, I think with how smart footballers are tactically now, Frankie de Jong will realise that playing with Ronaldo does not help him in any way. He's not stupid. Him in particular, we know he's a smart player on the pitch. He will have analysed how United play before he goes. His agent will have instructed him whether this is a good move. And I think if he looks at it in the right way, he'll realise that moving to a United without Ronaldo is better than moving to a United with them for his own personal gain.
I think James is right. I think James is 100% right. And look, we're all talking about Ronaldo. There's a potential that Neymar's going to have the same issue, isn't he? You know, because if it's true, the PSG have told him he's not wanted. Where's he going to end up? You know,
the Neymar thing is because he'll get a 6-year extension on his contract at 500 grand a week. So I think they're exploring the option of him leaving, aren't they?
But there in turn lies the issue. I don't think people will be clamouring for Neymar, just like I don't think people.
The Glazers will be.
Oh yeah. That's right up their street, right there.
That's right. It sounds exactly
another overrated player who plays 3 months a year.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that at all. Yeah, forget that.
Again, we just got rid of one.
Yeah,
it's not.
Well. Anyway, guys, appreciate everyone tuning in tonight, and thanks to the panel tonight. Joe, is there anything you'd like to plug, seeming as you showed and graced us with your presence tonight?
Just give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram, Acting Joe. There below me, and Instagram Joe Your Own Way _ I've got a few things I'm filming the next couple of weeks, which will be going live, and so please give me a follow to check them out. And thanks so much. It's great to come on. Wonderful Off United with a lot of me busy mates, including James.
There you go. Yeah, check out Joe's stuff. He does a lot of acting. It's all very good as well.
Thanks,
And
mate.
follow these lads on Twitter. They do some funny stuff and good stuff. And if you want to laugh at my misery and how much I hate the Tories, then feel free to follow me as well.
You really do hate the Tories. I absolutely love your Twitter, Raquel. I love your Twitter. And you've been
my
really...
Twitter's great.
I have to say, man, you've been killing it. I've really been delighted for you. I really, really have been. The stuff you've been doing over the last while, I'm glad I get to see you face to face to say that I'm just really delighted all the stuff you've been putting out there and that people are really listening to you. And I'm delighted for you. You're really putting out great stuff.
I hate to interrupt, boys. And,
Appreciate that, mate.
I hate to interrupt. And Rahman has deleted a tweet, so I'm lucky I caught it. But apparently he's tried to call Malacia a little too soon. Bless you.
Bless you, whoever that was.
Yeah.
There was no one on camera. That's a ghost.
No, yeah. I'm gonna put this in a thingy in a minute, but he's deleted this now. I'm no word of a lie. But he says that it was confirmed, deal sorted for 12 million euros, 3 million add-ons, blah blah blah. Medical was completed on Sunday, final part on Monday. Contract approved with option for a further season. Official step will follow soon. I think this was meant to be at 11 a.m., not 11 p.m., but it's gone now, and I'll put it in the thing afterwards for you guys. But
I'm sure he'll get his quota of likes, won't he, Romano?
it didn't get a lot. Let me say that much.
Yeah, he's annoying me at the minute, Romano. But yeah, thanks to all the lads coming on tonight. Check out all their stuff as well, and check out my Twitter because Joe says it's great.
It is.
And I've got a blog as well if you want to check that out, unitedroad.com. It's linked on my Twitter if you want to have a look at that. There's some stuff on there. Make sure you're liking and subscribing, get your notifications on. I think we're going live again tomorrow at, I believe, 10, if that's right, Stu.
Yeah,
so if you want to tune in for that as well, it'd be highly appreciated. But yeah, thanks a lot.
Check out my show Tuesday. My show drops on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And yes, Stu has got, is it tactical preview or something?
Tactical preview, yeah. I've done my first hosting today. We've got an Ajax fan on.
Phenomenal.
Who's really in the know with Erik Ten Hag. So check that one out. And all my partner in crime, Abdel. My usual hosting partner, James, couldn't make it today. So I'd imagine he'll be back in the hot seat next time. But check that out. I think he's dropping Tuesday. I'm not quite sure what time, but keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, well, yeah, make sure you check that out. Stu knows his stuff, and Abdel is brilliant as well. And it's even better because James isn't on it.
Yes.
Yeah, take time. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate that. See you later.